YouTube, how's it going? So for today's video, we're doing a little bit of continuation on the 2012 Chrysler Town & Country I was working on. Figured I'd split it up in between two videos. And we're going after a common failure, which is the oil cooler. These 3.6s, they're pretty well known for leaking the oil cooler out. I took the coolant reservoir out so then you can easily access the drain from right there. Don't mind the oil in that pan had oil in it. And then you've got a 10 right here, a 10 right here, a 10 right there, another 10 back there, and then an 8, a little push pin, and then some 8s through here. And then this upper intake manifold's out your way, and then you just got to get the lower intake manifold and kind of set it to the side. And once that's out your way, you're right there at the oil cooler. But it looks like there's a lot going on there. It's really not that bad of a job. Like I said, it's a pretty common failure point. This looks like it has either the original or a very early replacement of this one, because it still takes the old filter style. It hasn't been updated yet. So we're getting a new filter put on, or a new oil cooler put on it, fresh oil, fresh coolant, and this thing will be back on the road, no problems. Get an extension. Alright, we're back at it. Okay. Little push pin remover tool. Helps you grab that end of that sucker and get that out of your way. I forgot a socket for that side bracket. Grab it. I'll show you it when I get ready to that point. So you got the air filter, the box out the way. Come on. Get this big old piece out the way. And then we've got 110, 2.8, we got 3.8. 4.8, 5.8, and 6.8. And if my theory is correct, can't get it out. And that is because this bracket has a stud right there. I'm pretty sure that's a 13. Grab that 13, and that should get this out of our way. Once this is out of our way, you have to pop some of the harness off of the injectors and whatnot, so then you can lay the lower. What I like to do is lay the lower this way, where the fuel line's at, so you don't have to worry about taking the fuel line off. So you unplug, pretty sure it's the backside harness from the injectors, lay the lower intake off to the side, then you're just right at the end, the oil cooler, and get that replaced. Alright, back at it. Let's see here. Was my guesstimation right? And it was. It is a 13. See, you don't have to take it completely off. You just got to loosen it enough to where that bracket, you might actually have to take it off. I thought you could just loosen it. Yeah, it looks like you have to take that bracket off to get it out. So get that 13 loose. Pull the stud. Pull both sides. The injectors. Harness. So once that's loose, bracket pops out your way. Intake. And then this line is free to come out. Now, your upper intake, so it looks like, pop all these guys off. Come on. Sometimes they get kind of stuck in there. You just gotta give them a little bit of love. Oh, come on. Oh. Well, that popped out all the ways. Come on. There we go. That one did it right. That one did not. So you got to pop all those out. And same thing on the other side. Pop those ones out. And then it's probably pull this pin too. Or cut it if you don't have a push pin. Or, well, one of these. To get it to where you can get underneath of it. And pull that up. You just cut it. Because I understand not everybody's going to have a bunch of tools to be able to do stuff like this. Oh, and there looks like there's another harness on it. So, there's another pin. There we go. So once that's done, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then this can just get flopped over that way, and you're at the oil cooler. And the locking tab isn't broken, so it'll actually just go right back into place. Just hold it out with a little bit too much force. But the rig's got, I got cars driving left and right by me. Not by me, but on the road. In the traffic today. But the car's got almost 200,000 miles on it, so you gotta expect that some of this plastic is just not, it's not gonna be in the shape it once was. So you just gotta take that into account as you're messing with it. You gotta be slightly nice to it. You can't be just yanking on the dang thing, because you'll end up breaking something, and that just makes more work. You don't want more work. Okay, there it went. That one's up. And I'm actually gonna pull this push pin. Okay, that one's up. Oh, come on. Go. So with all that free, and you just take the old handy dandy. Last one. Go. Now, should. This. Now, out your way. And looks about as I expected it. Not great. Not great at all. But, like I said, this is a common failure point on these. So, if you're looking down in there, we got oil all over. There's, you can kind of see it. There's definitely coolant there. It's just wet all around. So now this is where it starts getting tricky for the at-home guys that are going to be messing with this if they decide to. Is can't remember the exact name for these bolts, and somebody's gonna butcher me about these, but basically it's an inverted Torx that you have to get off here, 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 and you got this harness here, and then you got, so I think this one is coolant temp or oil temp, and then this one is oil pressure. And this one doesn't necessarily fail. This one I have seen fail and leak through the connector. So it's best just to replace these sensors, because you don't want to have to get back down in here and get all this stuff up. Another good idea is, oh, because there's a little bit of shit already falling in there, is to go and get some rags. You put a rag in all the intake holes, and then that way you can go and clean all this debris up and not have to worry about that stuff going down into them valves, because if that happens, ooh, that's not going to be good. That's going to get expensive real quick. So now I just need to get more parts, or more tools, and some rags. And you're also, once you get this out, you're really going to want to clean that valley, just so then you don't ever have to worry about, if you don't clean the valley and you just put it on there, you know, say this gets leaned one way or the other, and then all of a sudden now you got an oil leak again, and oh, I'm thinking the oil cooler failed again, I gotta go back in there and replace it. So you always gotta clean it. You always want to clean it and make sure it's clean. So rags, inverted Torx bit, hose clamp tool, well, or a pair of channel locks will work just fine. And the oil pressure sensor does also take its own socket, because it's not just like a 6-point socket. It's got a weird edge on it, so you have to have the sensor socket to replace that, which isn't a big deal. Alright, so got our rags, got our hose clamp pliers. Channel locks will work just as good as these. These just make it convenient, because once you get to a certain point, it locks itself and it'll hold that spring clamp while you wiggle it off or do what you got to do with it. So that makes life a lot easier. So I grabbed one of the new bolts that came with the new oil cooler, verify which side it is, the size it is, and it's an E8 is your size. But before we start messing with that too much, we'll shove some blue rags. You gotta remember to pull these out. If you don't, you'll be having a bad day. That would not be, that would not be good. I mean, you might get lucky, but I'd rather not tempt, you know, fate, and see what happens when you... We're all plugged here. None of this gunky stuff is going to... Okay, let me rephrase that. None of that stuff should get in the engine. There's always going to be a chance of something happen. Nothing's 100% fail-proof, foolproof, however you want to say it. But now we're at the point of we go and sit those bolts out, and this is going to make them. Luckily, I did bring my ratchet. Yeah, this is going to make a mess, because there's oil and coolant in there, unless it's just not holding any of that stuff anymore because it's failed so badly. There is that chance. So it might have already made the mess. You won't know until you pull it off. And we'll have to see if there's a gasket that failed. I doubt that we had a gasket failure. I think we had an oil cooler failure, which, like I said, is a pretty common issue with Chrysler products, Dodge, anything that has this, Jeeps. Oh yeah, no, she's still gonna make a mess. So let's see here. I'm gonna get this connector popped off. This hose clamped. Popped off. Come on. Okay. Put it too tight. Down. Should be enough. Now, as you can see, that hose is, oh, this thing is just, it's nasty. I had a feeling that we were having this issue. This is, in all technicality, my wife's car. But, didn't think it was that bad, but it was. So, flip this on up. Yeah, it just doesn't look good. Wipe off my hand before I grab my phone. I mean, it looks pretty nasty. Probably been leaking for a bit. Like I said, that valley is gonna be completely full of just oil and nasty shit. So now you gotta go through, clean all of this up before you put on the new one, and then put the new one on. But yeah, something definitely ain't happy in this. But that's why we were replacing it. I mean, I'm not seeing the sensor itself looks okay. I don't know if I would necessarily put a sensor back in. This thing has 195,000 miles on it, and if that's an OE sensor, it would just be a real shame to do all this work, put it back together, and I gotta take it back apart to replace one sensor. So I'm just not gonna do that. And honestly, I should probably just grab a box of rags. That is a mess. Man, is that a mess. They're always messy. I don't think I've done a single one of these that hasn't been just a complete, just oil coolant everywhere. It's such a pain. So I'll show off the replacement parts here real quick. So we got our two new sensors. Here's the socket, and you can kind of get a better idea of why you can't use a regular 6-point on it. It's just slightly different. And then a 19 for the temp sensor. And then this is the oil cooler. Disclaimer, this is an Amazon oil cooler. It was essentially quarter the price as the Dorman replacement of this. And the minivan is getting sold. The reviews only said to replace these sensors. So I got new sensors. I'm gonna replace these sensors. And I mean, for the most part, it is in really good shape. Like, I don't see any real issues that are just glaring at me that's like, yeah, this is going to be a pile. You know, it's kind of one of those things to where it could be fine, completely fine. I'll kind of go through and check things, make sure everything's tight. Or it could not last more than an hour. You know, we won't know until we put it in there. But, I mean, it looks exactly like a Dorman replacement. So I figured I'd give it a try. So now we got the new oil cooler in here. It's all cleaned underneath. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than it was. You can see I wiped all that stuff, and it caught quite a bit of the gunk and whatnot. So now it's wiping that surface clean after I tighten all these bolts down. And then it's just going back the way we came, buttoning stuff up. Well, it's all back together. Got the coolant jug here to help burp the system. And it's all back together. So now it's the moment of truth. I don't remember where I put my keys at. I think I left them in the jacket. Yep, that's the right pocket. So now I'm pretty sure if you turn the key on, hold it to the floor, okay, cranked it for a little bit, try to get some of that oil pressure built back up. And sounds pretty good so far. Nothing's just pouring out of there yet, so I would say it's a win so far. I'm gonna let this thing run and then I'll get back to you guys and let you know how I think it was like 55 bucks. $55 oil cooler does. Hopefully it might be a good option for some people that just really can't afford to buy, you know, a factory one or a dorman one. Everything's so expensive nowadays. It's hard to justify putting so much money into a vehicle sometimes. And, like, I get that. So, see how this does, and I'll get back to you guys shortly. Showing 80 pounds of oil pressure. So I mean, it's got good oil pressure. Oil temp hasn't came up yet because obviously I just started it. But I mean, 80 psi ain't bad, and it's just sitting there right now. So we'll see how it goes after it's warmed up for a little bit. Tire light's on because of this left rear tire's got a slow leak in it, and then the check engine light on is actually on for the oil pressure switch. So I just need to clear that, and this thing should be golden. One thing I forgot to mention was opening up this bleeder and letting it kind of bubble out for a little bit, and with the air pockets out, it'll be good to go. So far we ain't got no drips, no drops. Everything's happy. It's got good oil pressure, good oil temps. I think that it's a $60 oil cooler off of Amazon. I think it'll be a good one. So, like, comment, subscribe. See you at the next one.